Ikarim Sheli, dear friends. First of all, a big thank you to Cherno. And I am so happy that, thanks to you, Deidre Berger, our director here in Berlin, we had the pleasure of sending you, Cherno, to Israel, and you see the outcome. There are a lot of people I would wish to acknowledge and thank. There are many friends in the audience. But in addition to the fact that Sasha and Melody have already named them, I've learned something in my own life experience. And that is that if you thank certain people, they never remember. But if you forget to thank certain people, they never forget. So in the cost-benefit analysis, I'm safer saying, dear friends, I stand before you as the son of a father who grew up in Wilmersdorf, as one of those for whom Kristallnacht unfortunately had very special meaning. And so it gives me extra pleasure to know that here on November 10th, 2013, we come together against the backdrop of history, yes, on the anniversary of history, yes, but we come to affirm the future. We mourn. Indeed, I can tell you I'm in permanent mourning through life. But we come to affirm. And I can also tell you I live in permanent ecstasy for the gift of life. And the theme that Sasha and Melody selected for this third Congress, Connecting for Tomorrow, I will tell you is a sure bet. So if you are investors, take my advice. It comes free of charge. Invest in tomorrow. Invest in the relationship between Israel and Germany. Invest in Israel's future. Invest, invest, invest. And let me tell you why. In a way, it's explained by this weekend and this Congress Hall. Against the backdrop of Kristallnacht, against the backdrop of the Reichspogromnacht, against the backdrop of all that we know too well, look what has been achieved since. The rebirth of the State of Israel. The rebirth of the State of Israel, not as an outcome of the Shoah, the rebirth of the State of Israel as an outcome of the spiritual, metaphysical beliefs of a people thousands of years old, whose faith and whose being and whose peoplehood are inextricably linked to a land and an idea. The land of Israel and the idea of Zionism. Let no one tell us that Israel is an outgrowth of Western guilt. Israel is an outgrowth of Jewish faith and Jewish belief. I'm an optimist about the future because for 65 years, against all the odds, initially the Yishuv of 650,000 people in a land with no natural resources at all, only human capital, overcame the unimaginable, the external threats of annihilation, and the internal challenges of the ingathering of the exiles and of state building, of recreating Jewish sovereignty. I'm an optimist because Israel exists today, Israel thrives today, and Israel will tomorrow. optimist about connecting for tomorrow because of the Federal Republic of Germany, because of the very city and the very land in which this Third Congress is being held, because the German flag today, to me, speaks of democracy. It speaks of European integration. It speaks of NATO membership. It speaks of a special relationship built on Staatsräson with the State of Israel. I'm an optimist because this Germany, the Federal Republic Germany, exists and thrives and has a bright future. And I'm an optimist as well because against all of the improbability, we are among the fastest growing Jewish community in the world. Imagine, 75 years after Kristallnacht, we talk today about an expanding and a growing Jewish community with synagogues and schools and centers, and yes, a future, a very bright future. And yes, I'm an optimist because we, those Jews who live in the United States, in my case, whose parents were fortunate enough to find refuge during and after the war, because we are no longer the Jewish community that will permit an American president for whom we overwhelmingly voted for to return the ship to St. Louis with 936 refugees from Europe because the United States could not find place in our otherwise bountiful country to give them shelter and safety and haven and home. That will never happen again because we will move heaven and earth to ensure it never happens again. Too often in my travels in the United States and Europe and elsewhere, I hear this one question. But tell me, David, does Israel really want peace? It's perhaps the most annoying question I get, but it's a chronic question. And my answer is, what chutzpah? Chutzpah. There is no nation on earth, I repeat, there is no nation on earth, no people on earth that yearn for peace more than the people of Israel. No nation. Does anyone truly think that we collectively, the survivors of the blood libels, the survivors of the forced conversions, the survivors of the ghettos, the survivors of the Inquisitions, the survivors of the Auto da Fe's, the survivors of the Black Hundreds and the Cossacks, the survivors of the Yellow Star, the survivors of Birkenau and Buchenwald, settled Israel in order to engage in permanent conflict? Israel was established to express the age-old Jewish yearning for peace, shalom, the seminal Jewish contribution to human civilization, to fulfill the ancient words of the prophet Isaiah, Lo yisagoy al goy cherev, lo yilmadu od milchama, and nation shall not lift up sword against nation, nor shall they learn war anymore. But peace is more than just an abstract idea in some foreign ministry or university laboratory. Peace, as you know, in Europe requires partners. And when Israel has had partners, the record shows that Israel has gone far beyond the call of duty and beyond that of so many other nations in the world to demonstrate its commitment to peace, even at risk to itself. Who can forget the scenes in Gaza when an Israeli government forcibly withdrew 10,000 settlers and soldiers and their schools and even their cemeteries as a commitment to peace, and gave the people of Gaza their first chance in history, mind you, to choose between becoming Singapore and Somalia. And they chose Somalia. To choose between construction of Gaza or destruction of Israel. And they chose destruction of Israel. Is that a partner for peace? There is too often some kind of cognitive dissonance. And Dieter, you said it so eloquently in your brief tour d'horizon. On the one hand, tens of thousands of people are being slaughtered in Syria. May I ask you, what do you think President Assad would do if they were Jews? Think about it. But that's Israel's immutable northern neighbor. That neighbor doesn't just disappear. Israel has to contend with that neighbor, as it has to contend with a Lebanon dominated by Hezbollah, as it has to contend with the uncertainty of Egypt, and with the certainty of Gaza, and with the unpredictability, yes, of the West Bank. And again, Dieter, you said it. A peace partner, perhaps, we pray, but a peace partner who insists on the release of murderers with blood on their hands of civilians, and celebrates and glorifies their return, at least ought to raise questions about the nature of the peace partner, if one is fair-minded. So yes to peace, yes to compromise, yes to territorial sacrifice, yes even to calculated security risks. But please, those with the sanctimonious language who would tell us, we want peace for you more than you want peace for yourselves, save it. Save it for someone else. We know something about war and peace. We know something about true peace and false peace. We know something about calculated risk and miscalculated risk. In fact, most of us are PhDs in the subjects. So give us that benefit of the doubt. And finally, I'm an optimist because I believe in the 21st century, Israel has something very special to offer the world. And in partnership with Germany, these two countries can make dramatic impact on other countries as well. We shouldn't be thinking only bilaterally, we should be thinking much broader. In the 21st century, issues like food security, water security, cyber security, knowledge security, environmental security, public health security will be every bit as important to many nations of the world as physical security. Israel, to its everlasting credit, has helped to advance the frontiers of human knowledge and civilization in each and every single one of these areas. Germany, too, has an interest in advancing these areas as well, both an unselfish and, yes, a selfish interest, enlightened as it is. So I see a bright future for the State of Israel. I see a bright future for the Federal Republic of Germany. And connecting for tomorrow, I see a bright future for all of us. Thank you for having invited me today.
Meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren, bevor wir weitermachen, ich sehe sehr viele stehende Leute. Ich möchte noch sagen, da oben und da hinten sind noch Sitzplätze.